Okay, give me just a second here. Gotta pop out the chat. Move this over here and skadoosh. Hey, welcome to the show. Since pretty much everyone who is watching right now is watching after the fact, don't forget, like, subscribe, bell icon, the usual. Anycubic Photon is god tier for me. It's outstanding. And I know I'm about 10 minutes early tonight. That's because I just had this need to broadcast. I needed it. I'll tell you. And I think I just woke up this one. Yes, baby girl Shinju. She's 14. Yeah. Now, as mentioned down below, this is going to be an Eladrin Sorceress. To be exact, is Shadow Sorceress, but part of that will be paint job. And I'm using reference material. I'm not going to show you the front of the tablet. I don't even have it turned on right now, so I'll show it to you now. Oh, look, it's a mirror of the screen. But since her reference material is copyrighted imagery, I'm not going to have it shown on the screen. Now, Eladrins, for all intents and purposes, they're angelic elves. So we're going to basically make it look like an elf. And Shadow Sorcerer, well, Sorcerer, Spellcaster. We've got reference material on the tablet that is now on, as you can see by the fact that it's partially illuminating my face. See, it's... Yeah. And speaking of partial illumination, I probably better go ahead and turn on my... There we go. And we're going to go ahead and get into it in just a few minutes. Some of you may or may not have watched the video that I put up a couple days ago about the direction I plan on heading. If I can get in touch with a company that can publish the miniatures, it's looking like the Champions with Minions game will be the one that I work on first. And that's going to be a bit rough because, I mean, yeah. The difficulty won't be in the rule set or in sculpting the miniatures. It's going to be in making the miniatures available. And it's going to be in getting it play tested. Now, my plan, the business plan, is that the game will be available both digitally and physically eventually. And that the figures will be available both as, box set of figure with minions and good old blister packs of figures, but also as STL files. So that people who don't have 3D printers can just purchase the figures. Those who do can purchase the STLs and download them, and then print new copies, which means that they'll have a slight advantage in terms of being able to, have a whole lot more minions on the board. But anyway, that's just a brief overview, and now I'm going to get into sculpting so that people who are actually coming in to watch live will see me sculpting. And one of the first things I got to do before I do that is okay, so we're going to start off as a female character, so we start off with the female base figure. This female figure is also, like I said, may as well be elf. Okay. Now, one thing to note is that the elf is not very buxom. I really do need to change the Z-scale back to 100 for the elf chest, but only for the elf. The others, it gets too big. Okay, this is our base female elf. We need to make sure that she is wearing the long skirt and the boots. The figure is, or the art is wearing high-heeled shoes, so we're going to deal with that. Actually, because she's wearing high-heeled shoes with an open toe, we can just delete these calf boots. And then we're going to hide the long skirt so that we compose her. She's going to have one hip kind of kicked out. Pretty far. And I'm going to kind of kick the booty out to the back. That means this leg comes all the way down to almost upright. If we go to front view, we can see that that puts the other foot down below the level of the floor. So we need to kick this back out this way. Rotate at the ankle. Okay. We're going to drop that down when it comes time to sculpt. Back to perspective view. Okay, the waist needs to come forward just a little bit so that the chest can go back. Okay, now one thing that we're going to do now is we're going to put this fist on that hip, but we're going to make it go in just a little bit so we can smooth that hip out when it comes time to sculpt. Okay. So, first thing is we're going to rotate it like that. And obviously we got to bring this shoulder up some, and the collar up some, and let's bring it back out a bit. Oh, come on, stop that. Parameters. Oh, I see what happened. There we go. We're gonna untwist this a bit. Okay. Now, let me go ahead and zoom in on the hand. And what we're going to do is we're going to start off, we're going to expand all, or expand from selected, because we want all the fingers available. We're going to select from the index 1 to pinky 3. Go to all up here, and we're going to bend, which contrary to the way this is set up, yeah, it's going to be positive. So we can make a fist. We're going to leave the hand there because we are going to be chopping off part of that. Alright, now it's time to manipulate the thumb. Okay. And there's a perfect fist that we could not make in the previous base mesh. Now I'm going to select just the second joint of each finger. I'm going to slowly unbend them until the fingers aren't poking through. Okay, there we go. That's good enough. That is a perfect fist that could not be made on the previous base mesh. Now, actually one thing we need to do, come to think of it, we're going to twist the abdomen and chest a little, just a little. There, that's a bit more. One thing you want is you never want the line of the shoulders and the line of the hips to be parallel to each other or the ground in any... Okay, I see a problem here. Alright, we're gonna select our foot and shin on both legs. Pin translation, pin rotation, and then we're gonna select both shins and lock the blue, which is the Z rotation. Then we're going to go to the hip and oh, wait a minute. We got to take the shins and unlock, because it's only the feet that need to go. So we go back to the hip and we're gonna pull it back so that she's standing upright instead of leaning that far forward. Then we're going to unpin all, go back to the front view, and we need to make the feet bend slightly so we can make them into high heels. Oh yeah. Front view. And we're going to twist the toes so that they're flat to the ground. And then this one, actually what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and because we still don't know what base she wants. Okay. Control D, and we can see that puts still a little bit further up than the other. We don't want that. We want them to be even. So we're going to pull this out just a little. Control D, and there. Perspective. There we go. Now, we're going to bring that neck over and turn and twist it so that she's looking over this way. And we're going to also bend the head down. So what are we going to do with this arm? Because that's the only thing we haven't posed yet. Well, what we're going to do is I'm going to pop back into here just for a moment. And I'm going to clicky this and copy the link to the video. And I'm going to send it to her so that if she wants to, she can come in. All right. Okay, now let me pop back over here and well, snap better this time. Okay, now we got to figure out what to do with that left arm. How about just have her like this? Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna drop this collar a little. Oh, whoop, no, we're gonna drop the collar a little. Raise up the arm and twist it like that. Bend and twist. Bend this back and twist it so it's upright. Okay. Actually, let's bring this forward a little. So let's click here, bring it forward a little. Just a little. And then we're gonna bring it forward. So it's like she's looking at what she's doing. We're going to click on this. We're going to lock the bend. We're going to click on the torso. We're going to pin translation and rotation. So it's now frozen in space-time. Kind of like if you used an immovable rod on the torso. And then we're just going to kind of grab and pull down a bit more. It's not quite as high up. And then we're going to unpin all. Okay, so this is her base pose. I can almost guarantee we're going to need to do some tweaking to the skirt because it's going to have an overlap section in here. Alright, so now before we do that, we're going to back to our content library. And we're going to my older magic prop set. And we're going to put a firebolt in her left hand. Okay, it looks huge, but we're going to tweak that. Let's go to top view and get a good look at this because we need to make sure it's okay. Now we're going to grab it. We're going to move it over center of that palm. Front view. Okay. Left view. Okay, we're going to need to rotate it a little bit back. Just a little bit. Now we're going to move the center. Front view. That's good enough because we didn't want to do it for anything else but this. We're We're going to drop it in scale a little bit and in Y scale? Yeah, Y scale. So that now we have, it's a small bolt of fire that she's holding in her hand. We need to twist this a little bit more. There. And this needs to twist a little bit more that way. And we need to bring it down so it's actually embedded in our hand. Okay. It's a bit too far. I'm going to bring it up. Bring it bring it up a bit. And then we're going to curl the fingers around the fire. So as before, we're going back to left hand, expand from selected, and then we're going to select all the fingers. And then we're going to bend. Then we're going to select the pinkies and unbend them somewhat. Or not pinkies, but the tips. And unbend them a little bit. We're going to select there. Unbend it. And we're going to select here and unbend it a little. Then on the thumb, we're going to bend it a bit. Let's go back to turning this on. We're going to bend it a bit here and here. Okay. So there she is holding a ball of fire. Or whatever energy she wants it to represent. Now let's turn the skirt back on. And yes, I can see I need to tweak some of the weight maps for the skirt. So we're going to go ahead and expand from selected. We're going to minimize the abdomen because we don't use it. We're going to be using the right thigh to right shin, tool settings, and there. Now, right thigh. Z rotation is probably our biggest culprit. And what I just did was I increased the size of the brush and the intensity to blend. And we go to shin and boosh. And boosh. We go to foot, and there's a blend there too. That was, in fact, our biggest culprit for this whole brouhaha. However, it's not our only one. We're going to go to X rotation and go back up to our thighs. Shin. Yeah, here we go. Nope. Y rotation. Yeah, that's it. That's our final. That is our final answer. Okay. Now the thing is, we are going to be tweaking the overall end result of this. However, just wanted to make sure we had that. Okay. Now, she's got kind of a short bob haircut. Not very short, but somewhere between a curly bob and a curly Prince Valiant. Or if you're a Spaceballs fan, Prince Valium. That we can do in the sculpting. So what we're going to do now is we are going to collapse the long skirt, collapse the thighs of the miniature, and collapse the fingers on this arm and the entirety of this arm, so that we have the minimum we need to see. All right, we're going to hide the firebolt and the skirt. File, export. Move this to new base figure, Patreon, no, broadcast. New folder, Shadow Sorc. And that's Shadow Sorc body. I camel case the working files, but lately I've been making the final files have, actual word space. Except, hide her, make the firebolt visible. File, export, Shadow Sorc, BODY, FIRE, fire. Except, make that invisible and make the skirt visible. File, export, select that and change fire into SKIRT, Shadow Sorc skirt. Accept. And then we cut over to ZBrush, which, hey, it worked this time. Anybody in here talking? Nope, nobody's in here talking. But we're going to import meshes, new base figure, broadcast, Shadow Sorc body. Wait for it to load. It won't take too long because it's not a super high resolution model. And we just draw it into the... Click on edit and change our material to something a bit more sculpt friendly. Then we go to the subtool and we insert Polymesh 3D, import Shadow Sorc skirt. Then we're going to insert Polymesh 3D, import Shadow Sorc fire. We hide the fire. We take the skirt and we're going to be playing around with it. For one, we're going to be making two versions of it. We're going to adjust the front here, and then we're going to duplicate it for what we have to do for the rest of this. We're going to adjust the front via a move tool. We're going to click on this. All of our future uses of this tool have the same size brush, and we're going to make this there. And grab and kind of pull it down. There we go. Then we're going to shrink the tool. We're going to smooth it slightly. We're not going to worry about the size of what's below the feet, because that's going to be tweaked here in just a moment. Her heels are not going to be as high as the ones in the illustration, I will admit to that. We're going to make the mouse a little bit bigger. Grab the skirt and pull it up just a little. Grab the thigh and pull it out just a little. In fact, we're going to grab the whole front here and pull it out just a little because it's not hanging right. Now we're going to smooth that just a little to compensate for what we had to do with the rigging. Okay. Now, we're going to hide the hand. Oh, wait a minute. So I'm going to hide the hand and the fingers. Then using the move tool, we're basically just going to, well, let's turn transparency on. Basically going to move the hip a bit until it's, well, it's not quite so thick. It's an L, doesn't need to be super thick. Then we're going to go back to here. We're going to bring this in. Turn off transparency, frame out, unhide the hand. Now, we go to there, with geometry, subdivide it a couple times until it's a couple 100,000. Delete lower. Here, we subdivide it a couple times till it's a couple million. Subtool, merge, down, always okay. Now we go to geometry. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. We're going to polygroups, autogroup, subtool. I forgot to make a duplicate of this. Duplicate. We're going to hide the duplicate. And once again, merge down. Geometry Dynamesh 1024. Dynamesh. I'm going to zoom in and shrink the mouse. Well, no, let's leave the mouse moderately large, but switch to a different mouse. Yeah, here we go. We're going to smooth over where the waistline was, so that we have a nice flow from her belt, because she does have a belt, but it is unusual. We're going to smooth here. Okay. Then we're going to use the move tool. Let's go underneath. Shrink it a little bit. And we're going to grab the bottom of it. We're going to move it up. And out. I am going to be making a tweak to this so that we don't have to worry about the whole copyright issue. Or, yeah, I can just say screw it, re-import, because I forgot to do what I was wanting to do. And then that we can leave as is. Make that visible, transparent, and make this switch to move topological. And we're going to bring it down under there. Okay, turn off transparent and make things visible. Geometry. Divide, divide, delete. Now before we do anything, we need to cut this dress. So we're going to trim rectangle. Okay, so what I can see is that about mid-calf up, let's turn on transparency, about mid-calf up there is, no, not enough. Gotta bring it up a little bit more. Control, Shift, drag to about the middle. And come back to the opposite. Control, Shift, drag to about the middle. That's about right. But now comes the fancy bit. That to about 45 degrees. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut a wedge like that. Okay, that was about right. No, that won't do it. Alright, we're going to take a different tactic here. We're going to export this. Just in case this tactic doesn't work. We're going to insert Cube 3D. Okay, yeah, we need to modify this quite a bit. So we're going to start off by hovering over the yellow part. We're going to shrink it. We're now going to rotate it as close to 45 degrees as we can. Not quite 45. There. And we're going to bring it out 17 degrees that way. Actually, no, we didn't need to do it that way. And bring it out through this. And then come down to there. Out to there, and then out to there. Okay, that'll do. That'll do, pig. That'll do. Let's check on the underside. Okay, we need to rotate it a little bit that way. Bring this in a little bit, bring it out again. Okay. Okay, we need to rotate it that way. A little bit. A little bit. Yeah, okay, that's good enough. And what we're going to do now, we're going to take that geometry, we are going to dynamesh it at 1024. So give us a lot of polygons. Then we're going back to the subtool here, And we're going to give another couple divides. Dynamesh it. Turn off transparency, we don't need that. Duplicate it. Go back to this. Oh look, we just put on the little half moon. Go to polygroups, group as Dynamesh sub. Go back to subtool. Take this sucker, double check that we still have it. Yes we do. So we merge down. And then we control draw. You notice that it leaves the box there, and there we go, it's a better cut. Much better cut. Okay, that's that. But now we have this still in place. What we're going to do with this is we're going to go down to deformation. We're going to, actually let's go to this. Yeah, let's just shrink it the old-fashioned way. Oh, we got the wrong one under control. We need to be controlling this one. We're going to shrink it a little bit. Move it back a little bit. Once again, we're going to turn on transparency so we can see what we're seeing. Let's shrink it this way and go back. We got a nice separation there. And then what we're going to do, we're going back to draw. We're going to tilt it slightly and we're going to give it there. And then tilt it slightly. Nope, not enough of an angle. Too much tilt. Okay. There we go. Let's use the move tool, bring it out just a little bit. Because that's a little bit too far back. There. We're not going to do anything with this one except move it down in the stack here. Then we're going to take this, we're going to merge it down. Go to geometry and control, just to make sure this is still on, control drag, and it leaves the box there for a second, and bam, we got this. Moving over back to the standard brush, so we have a smaller brush to start with. Shift, and we're smoothing. And we're smoothing. And the number 1 on the keypad repeats that action. So that we can just do it once and just make sure we're getting the right spots. And then about 5 times ought to be enough. A little bit over here. Now the next thing we're doing is, because this dress is relatively heavy, we're going to smooth over some of the back details. Not a lot, but some. And then here in the front, we're going to smooth over. Well, I need a better view because I need to be able to go from here. Blend that, smooth that a little bit. We're also going to grab the move brush, make it a little bit bigger than this, and we're going to grab here and move it in, because as a sorceress she won't have that much of a well-developed muscle there. Frame. Okay, that's our basic look for right now. We're not done. I just gotta get a sip of soda. the next step, we're going to be putting a dividing line up the center of this part. So we go back to here. We're going to go Lightbox, Brushes, and Orb makes some amazing crack brushes, and that's what we're going to be using. Orb line. And we're going to make sure that we have the stroke menu open, and under Lazy Mouse, I'm going to turn on Lazy Mouse and turn up Lazy Radius a bit. Okay, now we're going to start it at the bottom center. Up. Okay, it's not deep enough. So we're going to increase that intensity quite a bit. I'm going to start down here. Actually, no, we need to Dynamix this. And we need to make it separate from the rest of the... There we go. And let's zoom back out. And we're going to start here. Oh, no. This is not the one we want. I'm just going to go with the regular crack brush. And Lazy Radius. There we go. Start here and move well, first of all, smaller. Second of all, deeper. And third of all, longer Lazy Radius. Not quite straight enough. There we go. And we're going to come from here. Let's increase that intensity even more because we do need it. Okay, we're going to start from halfway up and come up to there. No. We're going to use the seam brush. Seam 16. Make it a little bit bigger and bring it to 20. Go most of the way up. And go up to here. And then come down that way. Then we're going to shrink the mouse and smooth out the little lump that we get there. Frame out. Okay. Now, we have geometry to make before we do anything else. Alright? And I'm thinking we're going to start with her shoes. Her shoes. Tool. Subtool. Pick her. And what we're going to do is we're just simply going to zoom in. We're going to select the bottom of her feet. We're going to mask it off like that. Let's kind of make it a little bit more. Then we're going to extract 0.12 thick, accept, hide that, and we're going to kind of deselect I'm going to erase everything that's under here because that's how we're going to turn them into high heels. Deselect all of that. Okay, and make our girl visible again. And then under, no. I'm going to shrink subtool, increase masking. I'm going to grow our mask, sharpen it, and do that until we get there. And then the move tool. I'm just going to move them down. Actually, let's undo all the masking that all the masking modifiers that we just did. There we go. Oh, no. Okay. Now, let's move. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn this into our high heels high heel soles. Okay, then geometry. Dynamation 256. Subdivide a few times. Delete lower. Z remesher. Half. Go. Yes, I know those are very high. We're going to be fixing that in here in a second. $114. We want to basically go until these wrinkles are mostly gone. So that's going to be quite a few layers of this. And hello, board. She is wearing a gown. It's Andy's character in the Saturday game. But we're doing her high heel shoesies right now. They're not as high heel as the artworks he gave me, but yeah. Do it again. Do it again. Turn on line fill so we can see just how much more we gotta go. Just a couple more times. Turn off line fill. Yeah. Now we're gonna divide it a few times. One more. There we go. Okay. So now to make them flat. Bam. There. Now, however, she needs to make them high heels. So to do that, we're going to do something very simple. We're going to go down to polygroups and auto group before we do anything else so that we can select them individually. And we're going to go, bam, and turn off our frame. Okay, we need to we're going to select there. And then, actually, yeah. We're gonna zoom out and we're going to deselect there. Actually, no, let's not even do it at all. I don't think it's a good idea to have them actually be high heels because at the scale that we're printing, it might end up causing problems with the print. Okay, now the next thing is we need your strappy straps. Okay, and the rest of her. We're going to go back to the standard brush to get a decent, slightly smaller brush. And we're going to start off. We're going to select the heels. Like that. And it's going to go over here a little bit. And then this one. No. No. I have to do these one at a time. That we're going to extract at 0.015. Extract. Oh, wait. Yeah, I forgot to remove that. The masking that we did for the soul. Okay. Now, extract 0.15. Accept. Draw. And now I can do it on this one. And mask that. Extract. These little strappy sandals are going to be a lot more work than the typical boots, but then again they would be. Merge down. Okay, excellent. And now we do the actual straps. So what we're going to do this is we're going to basically do what we just did. We're going to select segments. And then we're going to select a segment for the toe area. And 1, 2, 3. No. Draw on that line. Forgot to sharpen it. There. Now draw on that line. Okay. Turn on laser radius. There we go. Make it straighter. Okay, and this we're going to extract this time at 0.018. Just a little bit. Extract, accept, draw. Oh no, we made a mistake. So delete. Yes. What we did was I got a bit of the inner toe there. Okay, and then now extract. Okay. Frame out. And there's her strappy little shoes. They look like clodhoppers at this size, but when you print them out, they're going to be a lot smaller. Okay. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is this robe is actually a sleeveless little thing that overlaps in front, and then she's wearing something underneath it, which this part right here is the thing that's going to have the actual sleeves. So we need to make a neckline on her. All right, let me get my tablet. Oh, I dropped it wrong. There we go. Yeah, get that cord out from around the camera. I don't want it going nuts. Okay. Tablet in the lap, pen in hand, and this, we're going to do them one side at a time. First we're going to go for the underside, which is got a strap coming around here. And it's going to go down to here. Bring that forward a little bit. And I need to turn off Lazy Mouse so I can get it. I said turn off Lazy Mouse. So I can get it as close to the edge as possible. Okay. Now, we're going to bring it around to the back. Actually, yeah, we're going to do that. And then bring it down. And it's going under the arm. There will be no side boob. Okay, and we're gonna bring this up to here. Okay, this is going to be the inner of the two folds. I keep forgetting this one. Yeah. Alright, so we extract this at point two. Yeah, the extract, accept, draw. And then we go back to here, turn on transparency, and draw to get rid of the masking. And now we're going to mask off what will be the outer area. It won't be outer at first, but okay, so it went down to about here. Now we're going to turn off transparency. And we're going, actually, let's go ahead and hide that one. Because one thing we need to do real quick, we need to kind of erase where it goes off the edge. And come back in and very, very carefully get as close to that edge as possible. Alright, now turning this back on, we're going to extract also at 0.018 and then click accept, draw, draw. And as you see on first glance, it looks like one piece, but what we're going to be doing, we're going to use the move tool and we're going to kind of drag it out a bit. So that way, we've got the visual overlap. We're also going to use the move tool to pull these in towards the actual cloth, or the actual surface. Which means here is coming in. Well, no. And pull it in here, and pull it in here. Oh, pull it in here. Okay, that's good. Now we go back to this one. We're gonna grab it and pull it in there. Pull this. Oh, too big. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and there we go. Now what we're going to do, go back up to the top one because we got to bring this in. Alright. Now, we select her, we merge down a couple times, bam, bam, go to Geometry, Dynamesh, and click and drag. Now, she doesn't have as much cleavage as the artwork, but again, we're not trying to be exact to the artwork because that could cause problems. I'm going to shrink this down even more, and we're going to smooth out this surface where it meets. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now we're going to come around and do the back. Here. And then down here. And then finally down this way. Okay. Get some sody. And after I get this, there is trim needed. I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way with seam 16. And do we have our... Okay, so we're going to start off from here. There is no trim around the arms for some bizarre reason. Alright, that's the wrong way. So also it's not deep enough or large enough. So we're going to start off from down here. It's actually to there. Oh, I don't like that. Let's do it this way so we can go the other direction. No, that's not. I know what we need to do is increase that laser radius. Yeah, that should do it. There we go. That's that. And then that. Then we're going to come down from here. And then down here. Then around, bring this down to there, and back up over to here. There. The trim. Oh. Oh, wrong way. This way. There we go. And then she's got 2 forearm guards, a belt, a necklace, and a headpiece, and hair. The belt is a broad belt with some serious silver or metallic ornamentation. Hello, Wen. Actually, he's holding that. Look familiar? Yep. Her focus is her headband. Alright, so what we're going to do next is we're going to do her bracers. Her bracers appear to have 4 parts, but we're going to simplify this both for printing and for not being sewed. But we're going to start off with a little bit of a move on the elbow. That elbow needs to be a bit sharper on the underside. So we're going to grab the bottom and pull it out just a little bit, just enough to define the elbow. Okay. Now we're going to start the selection here and deselect the bicep. We're then going to go to the hand. We're going to tilt it this way. Mask it like that. And then we're going to deselect that little piece of the thumb that got caught. We're going to do something similar with this other arm. They're going to be smaller than they are in the image, again, for multiple reasons. I invited her to come watch the cast, but they might be doing something. Okay. Okay, good. Now we're going to tilt her back a little, and this is going to be tricky because I'm going to do something. I'm going to basically select it here and deselect here. And just in case I got any back here. Okay, deselect the arm. Select all of that. Okay. And here we're going to deselect there. Alright, now let's zoom out. And we're going to extract at .025. Extract, accept. We're going to draw to get rid of that masking. We're going to select on her to get rid of the masking. Hide her. And here, one thing we're going to do, we're going to cut that. Yeah. And we're going to cut that. Okay, frame out, geometry, Dynamesh of 512, and then divide. Once, twice, there we go. Zoom in. Now, now the next thing is we're going to select a majority of the inner portion on both of these. We're then going to make the figure visible to make sure that we've got the selection parts are visible. Okay. And then we're going to extract those out at 0.05. Accept. Draw. And then we're going to use the move tool to deal with what we need to do to shape these. So for example, we're going to move. Actually, let's go ahead and geometry Dynamesh them at 512. Okay, we're going to grab here and pull it back under. Then we're going to grab here and pull it out. Grab back here and pull it under, so that it's clearly bent with the hand. So it's clearly cloth. That's what we're going for. Okay, that's that one. And now this one. It's going to come all the way out. I'm going to bring this all the way up. It's going to end up being up against the hand. Okay. Frame out. And soda. It is 8:45. So we got about 45 minutes left, which should be more than enough time to finish what we need to do here. I try to do that. The reason why I broadcast is because, I mean, I know most people are going to be bored to tears watching someone sculpt live on camera. But by describing what I do, maybe people can learn what I'm doing. A lot of these brushes are brushes that I've either created, such as the one we're about to use, which has multiple gemstones, or ones that I've purchased and downloaded. We're going to be using these gemstones. All I did to make these gemstones was I made an oval or an oblong sphere and put a rim around it. And then we're going to put them on the back of the forearms. Gives them some detail. Gems. Big old gems. I hit. Oh, that second one's too big. Delete. Yes. Okay, so there we go. two big old bracelet gemstones, and let's subdivide them a little bit, give them a little higher res. We are not merging the bracers onto the arms yet. That's one of the last things we're going to do. Because we're going to be adding in some poof to the upper arms so it looks like they're wearing baggy sleeves. What we do now is we're not going to put on her necklace, because that necklace is just too, it'll never be seen on the figure. What we're going to do is we're going to make a circlet. Now, I'm sorry, the circlet's not going to be as fancy either, simply because, well, again, at this stage, the most I can do would be, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I gotta select these. I gotta select her herself. Extract, we're turning off double, but we're gonna go down to masking first, and we're going to grow, 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 sharpen, sharpen, sharpen. Excuse me. Okay. Then we go back to subtool, and we're going to extract at 0.025, accept, draw. It looks huge now, but it won't be when it finally prints. We're going to go down to geometry. We're going to dynamesh it at 256. And then we're going to go to deformation, and we're going to polish it 100. And again. And again. Then we're going to move, just so we have a nice large brush. We're going to, that's too much. We need more control, so we're using the tablet. I'm going to smooth it from the top. This way we can go to anywhere that's a little bit off center and smooth it a bit more than the rest so we can catch it up and make it even. Okay, then we're going down to inflate. Inflate it just a bit. And then geometry, subdivide it a few times. Then we're going to dynamesh it again. Go back to deformation. This time we're going to deflate it a little bit. Yeah, there we go. And then geometry, subdivide it a few times. And then we're going to add on a diamond-shaped gemstone in the center. It's over here. I'm going to get as close to center as we can, and we're going to make it kind of big. We're going to turn, and we see that it's sticking way out there. So we need to grab the move tool, and we're going to just slide it in. I'm going to kind of rotate it ever so slightly until it's down the center of the eye. There we go. And then we go back to draw, and we hit U, because earlier I turned U, not U, but the letter U, into a hotkey for splitting off anything that's not currently masked, if there is a mask. Okay, we need to make her belt. To make her belt, one thing we really need to do, we're going to duplicate this, hide everything but the duplicated girl, go to geometry, dynamesh of 256, And then zero measure, half. Turn off adapt. We don't need to adapt it. 1. $26. Oh, 23. We're going to do it again. One more time. Okay, then we're going in and we're going to smooth the waist area because we don't need that on the figure. Turn on this just so we can see. Okay, good. Now under geometry, we're going to subdivide it several times because we want it to be high res when we do what we're about to do, which is, all right, it's going to be a high belt. It's going to be about here, right under the one breast. However, we also need to draw on a couple little hooks. And by that I mean it's going to come from here to there, and from here to there. And then we're going to erase until it's sharp, because we want it to be a sharp detail. Okay. Frame. That's where her belt is. We're going to extract it at 0.025. Accept. Draw. And we're going to hide her, the duplicate. And here's our belt. Now, the next thing that we're going to do, we're going to hide everything but the belt because of what we're going to be drawing. Well, let's come in here and geometry, Dynamesh, 256, no, 512. Okay, and as close to flat as I can make it, and cut off that. Yeah. Okay, now actually, let's undo that. We don't need that. 1, 2, 3. Delete lower. And then we're going to the curved tube brush, and we're going to make it much smaller, just enough to draw on some curved tubes, which include coming from back here. No. Why isn't it? No. All right. We need to go to curve modifiers. Functions. No. Curve. Snap curve to surface. There we go. No, that still didn't do it. All right. What? Alright, forget that. Switching to simply curve brush. No. Alright, we're going to do it a fancy way. We're going to make those rods ropes. See, that followed the surface. What's different? Where my bend snap? Either way, we're going to undo it because we need to increase the lacy mouse to make this a bit curvier curves. Right, we're going to kind of come down there, and you, and we're going to come down there, you. I'll explain what I'm going to do in a minute. And then come this way right there. Oh, no, we need to turn on transparency because we don't want it stopping on those. We want it stopping inside those. Yeah. And there. You. Now, that's the current decoration on the belt. Now what we're going to do, we're going to each of these pieces and we're merging down each of them. And then we're going to Dynamesh at 256. Oh, no. At 512. We're then going to deformation and we're going to polish them 5 times. 5 times. And then we're going to inflate until they are, yeah. Need to inflate them a little bit more. Let's do it one at a time. There we go. Let's make things visible again, except for the copy girl. And here is what we have so far. So now we need to do geometry-wise, before we do anything else, is make the hair. Actually, we can go ahead and there, make the belt part of it. Now we're going to hide the headband and the fire because the fire's in the way, and the wristbands because the wristbands are going to be in the way here. Let's hide these parts here. We want to be able to see our hair easily. Okay, now zoom in and we're going to start masking off where her hair is. she's got a little bit of a, whoop. A little bit of a kind of a going like that. Let's undo here and go back in with a little bit more careful around the ear. That's okay, and it goes to just below the chin level, right about there. Okay, let's bring that down to there and fill in all this blank area. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to extract it at 0.02 with a double extract. Accept, draw, click her and draw again. Then we're going to clay buildup, switching to the round mask alpha 1 and turn off lazy mouse. Turn on backbase masking and go to here. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to subdivide it, or dynamesh it at 256. We're going to hit this with the smooth just a little bit, just to kind of make it a little bit more organic and round and less pseudo-mechanical with the sharp edges. We're going to be giving it body and shape with this clay tool. Then we're going to subdivide it a couple times. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Delete lower. And we're going to, let's see, we need about 18 because we want kind of in between those. And it's going to be just simply us. Okay. We need a little bit bigger and a lot more intense because we're going to be drawing curves like this. No. We're going to deformation first. We're going to reduce the inflation value. Okay, that'll do. And then we're going to increase the intensity even more. And now, got curly hair. Okay. Go into the subtool, we're going to turn on the headband. So we can now take this and we're going to use the slash tool of all tools. With a bit larger radius and transparency on to kind of trace over where the top of the headband is and the bottom. Oh, I see a problem. It's too intense. There we go, okay. And there we go. Okay, now, about the only thing left to do now is to puff out the sleeve area and add some wrinkles to the gown. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to use the build-up tool, but we're going to make it bigger. And we're just going to start puffing away on the sleeves. Well, it would help if I use the correct end of the stylus. So, for example, we're going to start off okay. This is mostly just for bulk. We'll be adding in the wrinkles when we wrinkle the rest of the cloth. We need to add in some bulk here because we need to make this into less muscle and more, and then smooth that out. Less muscle and more loose cloth. Okay. And the same thing goes here. We're gonna just kind of whoop. Build up some mass down here. The silhouette is more important than the details. Always remember that if you get to sculpting. The silhouette is what you see across the tabletop. The details you only see up close. Same thing applies to your paint jobs when you get to painting them. All that matters on the tabletop when you're playing is that shape recognizable? When you get more to, up close, which admittedly role-playing games tend to happen more often because you'll be leaning in to see, is your character able to go toe-to-toe with that critter, or is it too far? All right, need to put in some bulk in here and then smooth that out. Okay. Now we're going to go to slash. Make sure we have this set to 15 and shrink this a bit. And then we're going to kind of just make our wrinkles as these sleeves go into the bracers. Use what I call compression wrinkles, and then we bend wrinkles here. And what we're doing here is we're making wrinkles are mostly straight lines. And that's what we're doing with our slash tools. We're making these straight lines, or mostly straight lines. Everywhere the cloth bends or compresses or hangs strangely. Alright. We're only drawing the inner crease. Wrinkles have an inner and an outer crease. And while we're here, we're going to go ahead and, well, actually no, we're going to use a bigger tool for that. Go back to add, reduce the intensity to about 8. When doing the peak of the wrinkle, you want the peak on the bottom third or so, or less, of the wrinkle. Because gravity. Like that one went way too high. Sometimes you might even want it on both sides. You'll notice those upper arms no longer look like muscular upper arms. Thanks to the wrinkles, they look more like cloth. Because as I'm sure Board Trouble can verify, old person wrinkles don't wrinkle like this. Had to do it, man. Yes, I turn 50 tomorrow. This is technically my birthday stream. But I'll be at a con. So, there. Frame out. Oh, itch. And now we're going to make the go back to sub and go back to 15. We're going to make the mouse a good bit bigger. Actually, let's drop that from 15 to 13. One thing about these brushes, a lot of them, the larger the effect, or the larger the brush, the smaller effect, but with slash, the larger the brush, the larger the effect. brushes like smooth are the opposite. Okay, we're not going to put any up on top. Then we're going to add and drop it back down to 7. And once again, on the bottom of the wrinkle. We don't have to put them in exactly the same places that the inner cut went. We can extend them past that, or even not quite as far. And there we go. Frame out, zoom out a little bit, so we can do a full 360. Now, all that's left, we're going to take this Shadow Sorceress Fire and we're going to subdivide it a couple times because it's only at 19,000 polygons. We need a little bit higher res before we do what we're about to do. Delete lower. And then select her and merge down a couple times. Oh, shnikes. I knew I forgot something. Select that. I forgot to get rid of our ghost shape that we used to make the belt. Okay. Now, the next thing that we do is we go to geometry and we're going to Dynamesh it. And we're now at 1.08 million polygons. And so then we go over here. We click on Z plugin. We click on the plugin. Frame, let's zoom out just a little bit so that we're filling most but not all of the screen. Decimation master, we're going to go with 50,000 triangles. Or 100,000 triangles, 50,000 points. And there we go. We click on this and you can see it's triangles now. With a couple areas like in the underside of the skirt, some really large triangles, and then other areas like where these wedges are, some pretty small ones. Let's go ahead and turn off that. And we're going to save this, export. It's got to take a second to spin the drives back up as Eladrin Shadow Sorceress. Not a Dorkceress. Sorceress. Okay. And that, as they say, is that. I'm going to zoom out just to see how she'd look when printed. She'll look pretty decent when printed. Zoom out to see how she'll be on FDM. Not too bad. Might be a little difficult to make out the detailing on the belt, but that's also probably a bit smaller than... It's probably, yeah. Alrighty. Well, let's go ahead and come back here. When I sculpt, what I do is I try to do a bit of both. If you notice at the end, I zoomed way out to see how it would look when printed. I mean, I print almost everything that I sculpt. There's ways to support them, but I also print in resin. And lately I've been focusing more on that because, ow! Say hello to our interloper. This is Carlton. It wouldn't be a show if Carlton didn't come in and try to hop up in my lap. Would it? Yeah, talking to you. Anyway. What I've learned is, number one, some people can get unimaginable result on an FDM printer. And number two, a lot more people have resin than you think. And his name is Carlton. And Carlton is a love bug. She, over there on the bed, that's Shinju. What are you... You crazy kid. Yes. Okay. Now I gotta put you down on the floor. Go on down, little buddy. Anyway. So that is our Eladrin Shadow Sorceress. Yeah, now the show's official. Yeah, this 14-year-old old lady here, also a bit of a love, is Shinju. Anyway, I have Ralph, but Ralph is sound asleep in the other room. Anyway, it is 9:23. We've got the figure done. We've got our visit from the furball, who's now standing over there, getting ready to jump in the windowsill behind me. Yep, that one right there. So now it comes time for me to say goodnight. I've got to go and slice that and print it up and get it ready for Saturday. No, I don't. Con this weekend, no Saturday game. And next week, most of the people are going to be gone. No Saturday games. 3 weeks from now. I got 3 weeks to worry about, 2 weeks and a day to worry about printing that figure. But, yeah. Okay. I will see you all Sunday night for the Patreon sculpt. I've got a couple... Well, no, Sunday night. I'll still be at con. I'll be at the after parties. Anyway, I will see y'all later. Y'all, what I'm going to do is I put my hand up here and I count down from 5 to 1. When I get to 1, I tell a dad joke, say something deep, or say something just straight up goofy, and then go and when I see on the screen that means that I've caught up to YouTube's built-in lag. As a built-in like 10 to 15 second lag, and I can go ahead and end the broadcast without cutting anything off. So that's going to be 5, 4, 3, 2, and a 1. And Eladrin is a creature of light. This one is a shadow sorceress.